Saraj Prabhu ki jai, Krishna Devi ki jai, Santa Devi ki jai, Krishna Keswara Prabhu ki jai.
Sripad Maharaj ki jai.
We need a good musical ensemble.
Hey. Page 38. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Uttaparakamam Sri Guru Vaishnavamcha Sri Rupam Sarvatam Sadhana-Rananitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana-Sanitam Krishna-Chaitanya-Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana-Vikas-Shangatam Om Mangalati-Ranasya Yanagyanasakaya Chakshur-Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Guru Shri Bhargavandita Mahabhava-Parinayasara Paurva-Paya Parampara Pachalita Parja Prabhurta Krite Bhakti-Nirmanya Harasya Nimitam-Sanrakshakam Sadharam Vande Shri Gurudevam Ananta Shri Acharya Vayam Nidam Gurvavista Saparakam Gurudamaya Shisha Sambhushikam Shindra Samasthavera Nikunam Sri-Uprapatananuram Govindatikam Ulam Paratanam Tatsamutaram Sundaram Vande Vishwaduruncha Divya Bhagavat Reno Vijaradam Devam Divyatanam Suchandamanuram Kalakachela Sitam Sangaranda Param Sarekavarnam Vairagya Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Vidya Sushakilasitam Saraswatanamaram Pandetam Sunarabhayakasaram Nashishwaram Sriharam Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidikam Onyam Yogamraye Pato Padaviva Pavayakane Yogura Sankirtanai Mayavada Chindalavarakatam Pujyajivajman Krishna Prema Sudadhivanasutam Paraprabhum Tam Vaje Namo Bhuveshwaraya Bhattavadutamurtaye Korangi Prabhabhringaya Dharavani Srivane Ade Bhakti Vinodam Shri Shakti Swarupakam Bhakti Sastragya Samrajam Gadarasa Sudanikim Gurvavasti Sri Shar Vaishnava Vandigraham Jagannath Prabhu Vande Bhakti Vaishnavam Amsana Bhakti-Yogya Kripa-Sindhu-Yogya Patitana Paranebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Panchatattva Krishnam Bhakti-Rupa Swarupakam Bhakti-Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti-Shaktikam Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Bhagavate Namaha Sayatam Surato Pangor Mahamanalaterati Masarasra Parambojo Radhamadana Mohano Divyakundara Kalparuga Sivagagagara Siddhasasto Srigadhava Srigadodevo Krishnalini Srimanasmarami Srimanasarasarami Bhansivatatasita Karshavenu Smaragopir Gopinatha Krishna Vrindaya Tulsadevaya Vihaya Kesavasicha Krishna Bhakti Prati Devi Saraswatyahi Namo Namaha Tatadat Param Guru Guru Bhagavatartanam Yasan Jagat Guru Naha Tathoyam Vidya Jai Sapadika Shri Shri Guru Arjuna Dharmakam Sundar Arapatanam Jayastu Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. There's 105. Amata Jivanna Sarabha Bhimata Nahika Punyeda Leisha
Amara Jivana Sada Papirata Nahika Pudira Lesha
Adena Udvega Diyachi Ekata Diyachi Jive Vakesha
Arena Udveda Jiyachi Ekata Diyachi Jive Akresha
Nija Shukolagi Pape Nahi Tayahina Swarga Para
Nija Sukha Lagi Kapana Hidari Nayahina Svarta Para
Ara Kuke Duke Sakya Mitya Basi Ara Duka Sukha Para
Para Sukhi Kisayami Japasi Para Dukkha Sukha Kara
Oshesha Kamanda Kirimahi Mora Roda Damba Parayana
Asesha Kamana Dimaje Mora Kodidamma Parayana
Omada Matta Sada Vishaye Mohita Hingsa Garbha Vibhutana
Madhamata Sada Vishwaye Mohita Hamsa Garbha Vibhushana
Nigalasya Hatha Sukhaye Virata Arkeya Yudo Vihami
Nidalasya Hatha Sakaya Virata Toji Vijubhyami
O Bhaktistalogiya Satya Acharana Lobahada Sadakami
Bhaktistanagiya Satya Acharana Lobhata Sadakami
Ehina Durjana Sajana Bhajita Aparadina Dantara
Ehena Durjana Sajana Varjita Aparatira Dantara
Subhakharya Sunya continue reading? You want to bring your chairs around? Or we try liberty or Bhakti Yoga? So you can see the screen?
Do you think it's better that way? It's better to see the screen?
Does anybody remember the melody? What did you say?
I remember it was difficult last time when we were trying.
Huh?
The melody that we just sang for Amara Jivana.
Okay.
The same melody that we sang for Amara Jivana.
No, that won't work there.
Oh.
You remember? I don't remember. Tomara Ichaya Mor Indriya Chalana. You could say with me. Savana Darshana Karana Bhojana Vasana. Ija Sukhalagi Kichu Nahi Karira. Pakati Vino Balai Tava Sukasara. I do not know what is good or what is bad. I only serve. I'm simply a guardian of the property within your household. Bhaktivinoda identifies his house as Krishna's. Well, so he's saying like that. The property of this, my household is yours. The property within your household. He doesn't even say my property is yours. He says your property in your house. I'm just a guardian, the gardener. I take care of it. I'm the servant, and I just take care of your property within your house. This is Atmaniveda, giving everything, surrendering everything to Krishna, and not identifying anything more with, remember, I and mine. All kinds of I and mine is relinquished. I direct my senses, my desire for hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, and so forth, in accordance with your will. I no longer endeavor for my own happiness. Bhaktivinoda understands your satisfaction is the essence. This is Krishna consciousness. Vastuta sakali tav jiva kehanaya aham mama brahme brahmi bhoga shokavai aham mama abhimana matvadan bada jeev nija bali jani mani man say abhimane ami samsare patiya ha abu dubu kai bhava sindhu Santariya. In reality, everything is yours. Nothing belongs to the soul. However, wandering throughout material existence, bewildered by misconceptions of I and mine, the soul laments and fears. Deep within, the conditioned soul considers his misconception of I and mine to be his only will. Tomara abai pade laya sharana. Aji Ami Kari Lama Atma Nivedan. Aham Mama Abhimana Tradila Amaya. Arayena Mama Hridi Stana Nahi Pai. E Matra Bala Prabhu Kibe E Amar. Ahamta Mamata Ture Pari Raki Bhari. Having fallen into this world due to such misconceptions, I flounder as I try to swim within this ocean of material existence. Taking shelter at your feet, which are the abode of fearlessness, I have submitted myself unto you today. Those misconceptions of I and mine have now left me, O Lord, so that they will never attain a place within my heart again. Please give me just this one ability, that I may be able to keep all false egotism and possessiveness far away. False egotism. Huh? What is that?
Relating to yourself as something other than a servant of Krishna.
What do you think? Sarah?
I'm trying to understand.
What is the false ego?
The false ego, I think it was like a year ago we were covering this topic.
Huh? What did she say?
A year
ago we were having
We had this topic?
Yeah, because like if I say I, it's kind of like a sin.
I am the body?
Yeah, I'm the and I, because there is Krishna, there is no I. Every time I say I commit a sin against Krishna.
What do you say?
I is ego.
Huh?
I, identifying ourselves with the I.
What do you say? That's not what you...
Well, the I is about the conception of myself, the ego, and the mind is the conception of possession, like things belongs to me. So these two conceptions are wrong.
What do you say, Krishna Keshav?
False ego. The ego by itself is just identifying with something, and the false ego is identifying with yourself away from your eternal position as a servant of Krishna.
Oh, he says I and mine. So there's this sense of an independent being, of self, and a sense of possessiveness. That my property, my body, and that I have an independent sense of identity. When the only I that I have is the I of servant of Krishna. Sivera Svayapoi Krishna Nityadas. When I only see that I am the servant of Krishna, and my only identity, and no other identity, and that I have nothing to take, nothing to possess, no property of my own. Even my body is not my own. It's his property. Krishna's property.
A temporary vessel.
What?
A temporary vessel.
Temporary vessel. No, not only a vessel.
I mean, like
We are
the
his.
physical body.
We are his. That vessel belongs to him.
Yeah, but we occupying it, like our souls occupying this one.
More than that.
Temporary.
The
Then
body,
we'll have a
the body,
different
it belongs to Krishna.
Mhm.
It's his to utilize for his purposes, and not for my purposes, and not for our own purposes. Body is his. And I have to utilize it like that. I have to take care of it like that for his purposes. I don't neglect the body because it's not mine to neglect or to utilize for myself. It's his to utilize as he sees fit. And so I'm to use this body in his service. And all the senses are to be used in his service. When we're seeing, we look at pictures of Krishna. When we're tasting, we taste the prasadam of Krishna. When we're hearing, we hear about Krishna. Like that.
Well, then the question is like, what about the people who do not take care of their health?
Of what?
They do not take care of their health.
Their health.
Yeah. Like, even with the diets,
Yes.
they will get obese or way too skinny.
That's all in the world of Maya. All in the material plane, because they know nothing of Krishna. They only know about themselves.
But like,
One has
if
to be,
if a person, like, I know, like, I have a friend. He's a Muslim, so he's a vegetarian. You might think that his diet is good, but he gained weight. He keeps gaining weight, which is not good for his body.
well, that's like we
And he
read.
doesn't do
There's
it on
nothing,
purpose.
there's nothing good or bad in this
Mhm.
world. That's not for us to judge. We are the servant of Krishna. That's all we know. And whatever is there, whatever is given to us, we utilize that in his service. We don't question that this is good, this is bad. It's not our business. We have to try to remember what I am, the main thing. I am the servant of Krishna. That's my identity, or anyone's identity. They are the servant of Krishna. Then, how to utilize everything in Krishna's service? We don't know what may happen to this body or not. It's dying, and the body's getting old, it's dying. That's not our concern. We are the servant. We're not the body, we're the servant of Krishna. That has to be clear. If we don't understand that, then all these other worries are a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's a misconception. We think in terms of my body, my house, my this, my that, my car. But those are things that are, what do you call, entanglement in material existence. We don't want to be entangled in those things. We want to be absorbed in thought of Krishna and service of Krishna and love of Krishna. That's our aim. And that is the practice of Bhakti Yoga. And just like yoga, in yoga they try to withdraw their senses from their surroundings and fix their mind on Krishna. Right? That's the part. So we're also practicing yoga. And Bhakti Yoga is also the same thing. And we do that by different parts. We don't have to sit and meditate. We can be active and cook and clean and talk and do so many things. And at the same time, that is meditation on Krishna. And we try to do those things that will help us, those activities that will help us focus our mind on Krishna. So we hear about these things. We chant Krishna's name. All these things help us to fix our mind on Krishna and to get rid of all the other attachments that we have.
But it's really difficult to get of the attachment because, like, as you said, like, it's not my car. Well, I need a car. I need to take care of the car to come over here.
Yes, that's good. And if you're using your car because you think, I have to come and hear about Krishna, that's service of Krishna. Okay? Like that. It should all be somehow or other connected with Krishna. Whatever we do. Then it's okay. Then that is Bhakti Yoga. That's what we try to practice. Everything we want to connect with Krishna. Bring that focus back to Krishna. We have to remember, this is yoga. It may not look like yoga. We don't have these mats and we don't sit and bend our bodies in so many different ways. How much yoga that is, I don't know. Many people do it just for exercise, to keep flexible.
So just
But
an
yoga
exercise.
means to Fix your mind on Krishna. Fix your mind on Ishwar. So all of our activities, whole life, our every breath, every thought, every action, should be to bring our mind and focus our mind again on Krishna. That's yoga. That's Bhakti Yoga. And not only fix our mind, but fix our hearts also, our love, our affection. Try to develop that more and more. More and more affection for Krishna. That we can't do on our own, but somehow by Krishna's grace, if he's satisfied with us, that we're being sincere and we're trying our best, he will help us. He'll give us that attachment, give us that memory. That's our hope. In the meantime, we have to act in that way at least. Don't act in such a way that we'll forget, but act in every way that will help us remember, focus our attention more and more. Focus our affection, our love, more and more on him. So these things like studying these books and stuff like that, that's also to help us. Right? Otherwise there's so many books we could read, right? But we like to read these books and we like to try to understand them and apply ourselves to them. So please give me just this one ability, that I may be able to keep all false egotism and possessiveness far away. False egotism means I am something other than a servant of Krishna. Atmani Vedana Bhava Riddhi Virdharaya Asti Snan Samayen Kshanika Atnahaya. May the mood of self-submission remain steadfast within my heart. May it not remain only momentarily like the cleanliness of an elephant. What is the cleanliness of an elephant, do you know?
Yeah, they throw dirt on themselves as soon as they're clean.
Yeah, after they clean it, after they put water, they take that trunk, fill it with water, then put it on their body. Then they go out in the dust, take the dust and put it under body. No, not like the momentary cleanliness of an elephant. So, Vastuta Sakalita Sthana Nahipai. Everything is yours. May the misconception of I and mine never attain a place within my heart again. The principle underlying this prayer to surrender oneself to the Lord is expressed in the Padma Purana and cited in Sri Prapana Jivanamrita. Prapana Jivanamrita is the book that Srila Sridhar Maharaj compiled. Ahankriter ma kara syana kara stan nisheda kaha tasmatu namasa kshetri satantriyam pratisidyate bhagavat parantaro tantro so tadayatatma jivana tasmat swasmartya vidin tajat sarvam asheshata. In the word nama, obeisance, the syllable ma indicates the self-asserting ego, or ahankar. Literally, I am the doer. And the syllable na indicates its prevention. Thus, the act of offering obeisances when you say nama or namaste nullifies the offender's independence. The soul is by nature subordinate to the Supreme Lord. The soul's innate function is servitude to him. Therefore, all actions performed with the conception, I am the doer, should be utterly abandoned. So we offer namaste, or pranam. The na is negation, I'm negating myself, and ma. I'm negating the my, me or me, not me, nama, not me. So we give honor to the other, not to oneself. That mentality has to come. Not me. Nama, not me. That is the process. We offer obeisances, that's what we're saying. Not me. I am trying to offer myself to this divine. The divine within others, to the Guru, to Krishna, whatever. And one's dependence. Subordinate position means that I am dependent. I'm not independent. I'm dependent. That's servitorship. That's servitorship. Servitorship means I am dependent. I don't have any independence of my own. I am the servant of Guru, Krishna, or Vaishnava. I am the servant. As long as we consider ourselves a master, and then we cannot understand what is surrender. But to understand surrender means to understand I am the servant. We don't want to have a big position. We don't want to have an independent position. We want to have a servant position. That will give us some connection. That humility will give us some connection with that which is divine. The divinity is which is superior. To understand that which is divine, we have to understand what is superior, what is inferior. So the divine is what's superior. That's how we enter that region. That higher region can only be entered not if we try to make ourselves higher than it, but if we understand what my position is in a humble way, then I may come in contact with understanding that existence of what is higher. The way we make spiritual progress is to connect with the higher that is existing already in reality. But if everyone thinks themselves to be be higher than that, then there's no awareness. You cannot reach that, you cannot experience that. So a devotee tries to be humble as much as possible, and in that degree he can reach that position of humility and service. He can experience that higher divinity. He'll become conscious of that. That it already exists. It's not something you make up, not something you create an attitude for, but it's something you prepare yourself to experience by genuine humility and genuine service. And that divinity being higher than ourselves, when it sees we are trying also, it will help us. It will help us to experience that. Help us to come in contact with that. Because that sincerity itself will help us. And by doing the proper things, by hearing from the devotees, by hearing from Guru, by accepting shelter, then the chances of that divine plane coming down to us or touching us will become more possible. Become possible. So Bhakti Yoga is trying to help us understand these things and to come to that platform. Bhakti Vinoda Prabhu Nityananda Paya Mage Parashara Yahe Abhimanya. At Sri Nityananda Prabhu's feet, Bhakti Vinoda prays for the mercy by which the misconception of I and mine are dispelled forever. Nityananda Paya, Sri Nityananda Prabhu's feet, by the mercy of Sri Guru, who is non-different from Sri Nityananda Prabhu, all misconceptions of self-established ego is destroyed, and servitude to the Vaishnavas is realized. Nivedana Kari Prabhu, Tomara Charane, Atita Adama Ami Jane Pibhuvane, Ama Sama Papa Nahi Jagat Pitare, Mama Sama Aparadi Nahi Kar Samsare, Se Saba Papa Ara Aparada Ami, Parihari Ailata Sabhajana Tumi. O Lord, I submit myself at your feet It is known throughout the three worlds that I am fallen and unholy. There is no sinner within this world so sinful as I. There is no offender within this material world so offensive as I. I feel ashamed to beg for forgiveness for all my sins and offenses. You know all of this.
3 worlds.
3 worlds means hell, this world, and heaven. Tumi vina kare ami laiba shara. Tumi sarvesvara Vajandanandana. Jagat Tomara Nata Tumi Sarvamaya. Toma Prati Aparada Tumi Karakshaya. Yet, of whom shall I take shelter other than you? You are the Lord of all lords, Vajandananda. The world is yours, O Lord, you are present everywhere, and you destroy all offenses committed against you. Parihara Pai Logic. I feel ashamed to beg for forgiveness.
Wait a second.
Huh?
The fifth, the Lord is, the word is yours, O Lord. You are present everywhere, and you destroy all offenses committed against you. Well, it means that He forgives.
Huh?
Or like when they say you destroy all offenses committed against you.
Yes.
It means that He forgives the person.
Against thee?
Is he forgiving?
Is He
Is
forgiving?
him
Or means-
destroying all the offenses committed against himself, does that mean that he's forgiving the offenses? In that 5th line, it's saying, you
Yeah.
destroy all
You
offenses.
destroy all offenses committed against you.
Yeah. What does it mean He's forgiving them? No, it's hard to understand. For me, I don't understand exactly why he says like that.
Yeah, because like
Because
if you destroy all offenses committed against you, it means like
It's even more than
Well-
forgiving it, right?
it's more than forgiving.
Yeah.
It's kind of
Just ignoring them or
I don't even
Or-
know. It means like because if a person reads it, you can perceive it. Somebody can perceive it. Well, if he destroys all the offenses committed against him, right? Then what's the big deal if I sin against the Lord? Anyway, He will destroy it, all my offenses.
It's like this also. You know, he's saying in the beginning, he's saying, you are present everywhere, huh?
Mhm.
So that means it's even present in you who are committing the offenses. So when you understand your real identity in connection with Him, in unity with God, then you realize that one thing that was committing offenses was also part of Krishna's play. It's also part of His will. You understand? We are thinking,
yeah.
we're thinking we're independent and we can offend God, but actually we're not. We're never independent from Him, never apart from Him, and His will is always being executed. So when you come to that realization, the higher realization, even your offenses are not seen in the same way. They're completely erased because you recognize what your real position was and how that was all like a play, some performance on the stage. Someone was acting as a good guy, someone was acting as the bad guy, but it was all a play. So all of that will vanish. You'll recognize, oh, that was just a misconception. The whole thing was a misconception, and my real position is something else. All the time, I was relating to you, and I was thinking I was independent.
But that at the same time, it means that when a person was not thinking about God, was thinking about I, mine, that was God
But
doing
it's false.
it.
Oh, yes, but it's false.
Mhm.
Even though it may be that by the will of God that happens, still we think it's real. We're convinced by that. It's only when we become realized that we recognize that was some misconception that I was under, and we pray, please don't let me get into that state again. That misconceived state. Don't let that come upon me, because that's called Maya. That's Krishna's external energy, illusory energy. So once we get free of that, we can recognize what it is, and we pray not to get involved in that again.
I think what Bhaktizana was saying also was when we're not thinking about Krishna, if when we're making the offenses, that's a part of Krishna's play because we're always under his spell, and when we're not thinking about Krishna, that is also a part of his play. Is that what you were talking about? So she was mentioning that.
God's eye view and our eye view are not the same. He can see things that we can see. Only when we get liberated, then we can see what he was saying. See things in the way he was saying them.
So basically, well, whatever, like right now when we're looking, like I'm looking at my life, yeah, from this point of view, from a different point of view now, yeah, and whatever bad things I did, it's actually not even my fault that I did them. It was I was directed by God to do that, and well, this is what like it looks like.
Yeah.
Can I say something with her?
And now I realize it. Yeah, now it's different, but.
At that time, you won't realize that that is what being done.
No,
by God.
when I was doing that, I didn't know, right?
Yes.
But now I see it.
It was just an illusion. You were under an illusion of doing things and being responsible and being guilty for that. Just like Arjuna, he's thinking, I got to kill so many people. And Krishna said, look, I already killed them. You're just, this is just you're just doing your duty. You're doing what I have ordained for you. So when you come to the higher platform, you realize that. It was all under his direction that I was acting. But now I know that I'm acting under his direction. And I hope that I don't get into that stage again, where I take responsibility for everything that I'm doing. Because you're taking responsibility for that. You think, I did that. That's the whole meaning of ahankara, false ego, is that ahankara means I am the doer. You're thinking you're the doer. But in the liberated state, you're not the doer. You're just the servant. So the whole thing just evaporates like a dream. Like when you're dreaming, and the tiger is chasing you, and you're feeling afraid, and you're thinking your life is at stake. As soon as you wake up, that's all gone. It was all destroyed. All that fear, everything was not real.
So basically, anything that the good things and the bad things that we do in life, we should not be even ruminating about that, right?
If you realize that's all a dream, it's all in a dream world, then you're liberated from that. Just like the example is given, like when a soldier goes to war, he kills so many people. When he comes back, he's not considered a murderer, though. He's considered a hero.
Yeah, I know.
Something like that. How the mentality that you're doing things is really the crime. Right? If you have an intention to do something, that's how that's how you're judged whether you're innocent or guilty, right? You have to have an intention to do the thing. If something happened by accident, let's say you killed somebody with the car, but you didn't see them or whatever, you're not considered a murderer, right? It was something that he did unintentionally. So if somebody plans a murder, if somebody even in law, if somebody kills a person spontaneously out of anger or something like that, it's different than when you're meditating, premeditated murder. Is it?
But then at the same time, if somebody is premeditating something,
Yes.
isn't that the doing of Lord?
Yes. But that person doesn't see it that way. If he has to do it by premeditation, he's doing it. That's his responsibility. He gets the responsibility for it. You can't say, well, God made me do it. Some people use that excuse, actually, but they don't really know what that means. Or they may be crazy or something. But one is genuinely in the service of God. That's different than when you're just simply saying, I did it because God told me. Anybody can say that, any crazy person. But a genuine understanding of a thing, that's what liberates us from the material world. Just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadharmam paritaja, mam ekam saranam vajam aham tam sarva papebhyo. I'll take all sinful reactions if you are genuinely surrendering to Him. But not if you're just saying, well, if you're a crazy person, you say, well, God told me to do this. There's differences. I mean, one has to be, there's a genuine surrender to God, and there's this, what do you call, false or imaginary surrender.
Pretending.
What did you say?
Pretending, like
Pretending,
what I see,
whatever,
like when people pretend.
Yeah. All right. So there is a real transformation that occurs when we become Krishna conscious. And we recognize what was false in our life and what is real. And we don't take responsibility for the false things. That's what Krishna promises us. We can come to that place where that could happen. Okay? So I feel ashamed to beg for forgiveness. This sentiment is described in the Padma Purana as expressed by Rupa Goswami Prabhu and Srila Sanatana Goswami Prabhu when they surrendered unto Sriman Mahaprabhu. Matuyo nasti patma na paradhi kashchana parihari pilajame nimbhuve purushottama. There is no sinner as so sinful as I. There is no offender so offensive as I. O Supreme Lord, I'm ashamed to pray for forgiveness for all of my sins and offenses, and all the more ashamed of my attempts to abandon them. What more can I say than this? So these are genuine feelings of confession and feeling humble by one's offenses, by one's sinful activities. And when Mahaprabhu, Gurudeva, accepts us into the plane of divinity, then all those things are seen as some type of a dream, world of dreams. And our whole life is transformed, our whole life is changed. You have a new life, just like they say in the Christian world, born again. There's born again. It means whatever life you had before, that was another birth. That was another life, just like you had a past life. That one you don't have to worry about, you have to worry about this one. And when you take birth again, is second birth under initiation, accepting the life of Krishna consciousness, that's another birth. And all that previous life is like a previous life that has been lived and you had to suffer for. Now you're free from that. And you have a new life. The life of a devotee. And it's a very different life than just taking birth in different lifetimes. The life of devotion, the life of transcendental world, is a totally different type of life. Vaikuntha it's called. That plane that has no fear, no anxiety. A new understanding of yourself in relationship to Krishna, and not separately or independently. What do you say? Anything? A good point, though. A good point. Yeah. Tui ta shalita pad janera asraya. Tui vina ara kibak achi dharmaya. Se rupa tava aparadi janayata. Tamara saragata haibe satata. You alone are the shelter of those who have fallen. What else is there beside you, O merciful Lord? And Jagata Tamara Naha Tumi Arakshaya. The world is yours, O Lord. You destroy all offenses committed against you. Tasmin Tuste Jagat Tustang Prinite Prinitam Jagat. By satisfying the Supreme Lord, the whole world becomes satisfied. By pleasing the Supreme Lord, the whole world becomes pleased. Not only if the world becomes satisfied, the only way to satisfy the whole world is by pleasing the Supreme Lord, in other words. Just like we say, by pouring the water on the root, all the tree gets benefited. So by pleasing Krishna, the whole world becomes benefited. By satisfying Krishna, the whole world becomes satisfied. That's very hard for most people to understand because they think they have to do it by some other means. They have to please the world directly, or the people in the world. That won't work. By pleasing Krishna that everyone becomes satisfied. Tumita shakalita pad, skalita pad, dayamaya. O merciful Lord, you are the sole shelter of those who have fallen. This conception is expressed in the Skanda Purana. Bhumo skalita padanam, bhumir eva valambanam, Chai chata paradananam tvam eva sharanam prabho. O Lord, as the ground is the only support for those who have fallen upon it, so you are the only refuge for those who have offended you. Bhakti vinoda evi laya sharan, tuya pade kare ajat atma samarpan. In this way, everyone who has been offensive towards you will eventually come to your shelter. Now taking shelter, Bhakti Vinod today fully offers himself at your feet. Because Krishna is everywhere. By offending others, we offend Krishna. But he is the only shelter we have. There is no other shelter. So what can he do? He has to forgive us. If he doesn't forgive us, we have no other hope. There's no one who can forgive us. He's everywhere. We make some offense anywhere, we make offense to him. But there is no other place, nothing else beside him. Only thing left is that he has to forgive us. And recognize that we're part of him and always have been, and everything is. When we come to the plane of knowledge, everything else changes. All our conceptions change. All conceptions of responsibility and everything else change. And we enter the divine world, where all those material concerns are left behind. We don't have any more material concerns. We don't think in that way anymore. And if we do, even at the liberated state, then we'll come back down to that plane again. So never, even though as one makes spiritual progress, we never again think of the mundane platform and want to enter into that world again of so many anxieties. That's what Vaikuntha means. Vaikuntha, Vai means without, and Kunta means anxiety or fear, stress. Vaikuntha, without fear, without stress, without anxiety. Sat-cit-ananda, the world of bliss. And to stay there, once you reach, you have to chant Hare Krishna. Always chanting Hare Krishna, then you won't come back down. Is it understandable now? A little bit better. Any comments?
Say that the example they give there is for a person who fall on the ground.
Yeah.
The only way they can do to stand up is to use the same ground to stand. So Krishna is the only shelter at the end. Even we commit offenses to him, we have to go to him again to stand, continue.
Mm-hmm. If you go to someone, if you committed an offense against someone, then you go to them and ask for forgiveness. Right? And you can only get forgiveness from the person you offended. Only if they forgive you, then you are forgiven. If they don't, then you have to bear that. Right? So when you ask for forgiveness, that person doesn't have to forgive you. They do so only out of mercy. He may not deserve to be forgiven, but out of mercy is higher than justice. By justice, you may be guilty. I can remember that Pope. Who was that Pope that was shot? Somebody shot him. And Pope John?
John, I think.
Pope John. Pope John. He was shot by this one fellow. Do you remember his name?
Yeah.
What was his name?
The guy who shot him?
Shot him, yeah.
He was a Muslim guy.
Someone.
I
Yeah,
don't
anyhow,
remember the
they
name.
caught the guy. They sent him to prison. And then the Pope went to see him. He said, "I forgive you." He went to him. He told him he forgave him. That's mercy.
And I hear on the radio sometimes on NPR interviews with the relatives of the people whose member of the family was shot or killed, and they forgive the person who did it. And they say, just, we forgive him.
That's mercy.
But the law still...
I'm sorry?
The law still keep the person in jail. I mean, you can forgive the person, but
Yeah,
the law
but
is different.
it's
It
a
just
di-
says
it-
something like...
Yeah, I
and
mean,
they may keep it in jail, but for the soul of the person who killed, it's a different thing. Because it's like keeping in jail, this is our material world. But when they say, I forgive you, so he gets a release. His soul gets a release from that burden. This is what I see.
we have to remember when the soul is not acting properly, it's not the true nature of the soul. It's something else. The external energy, the illusory energy that's working. So that is like a dream. It's like a dream. Like going to sleep and dreaming. And all those things are happening that have nothing to do with the soul. So when you wake up to the soul positions again, what is its true nature? Then those dreams are seen for what they were, just dreams. And you don't bear responsibility for that anymore. You only bear responsibility when you're still in Maya. When you're liberated, you're liberated. All those things are gone. Moksha Shami Mahasucha, Krishna says. I give you liberation from all that. Don't worry about those things. But you have to come to that place, that plane of Sharanagati, surrender, before you can get that. God can do anything.
But he will not forgive offenses to the Vaishnavas, to the devotees. He will not forgive that.
Unless that Vaishnava gives his forgiveness. Puri Krishna. Should I go on further, or you want to? Shall we have some prasad now?
223.
What's that?
It's still early.
It's early. Shall we go on? Okay. Atmani Vedana Tuya Pade Kari Airu Parama Suki Dukkha Dore Yela Chintana Rahila Chaudike Ananda Deki. By surrendering myself at your feet, I have become supremely happy. All my distress has gone away. I have no more anxiety, and I see ecstasy in all directions. Chaudike Ananda Deki. I see ecstasy in all directions. This state of surrender is described by Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-13. Maya santushta manasa sarva sukha maya dishaha. All directions are filled with happiness for one whose heart is completely satisfied by me. Ashoka Abhaya Amrita Adhara Tomara Charana Dvaya Tahate Ekana Vishramalaya Chari Nubhave Nabhaya Tomara samsare kariva sevanam nanahiva bhale rabhayati tava sukhayahi kariva yatana aye pade anugahati. The feet are the abode of sorrowlessness, fearlessness, and immortality. Receiving shelter beneath them, I have abandoned all fear of material existence. I will render service in your household and will not become an enjoyer of the results. Lovingly attached to your feet, I will carefully endeavor for whatever pleases you. Tomara samsare kariva sevana nahiba palera bhagi. I will render service in your household and will not become an enjoyer of the results. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita 2:47, Sri Krishna describes the soul's position. Karmanyane vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phalahe torbur ma te sango sakarmani. Your right is to engage in my service, not to enjoy the results. So engage in my service without being motivated by any desire to enjoy the results, and never become inclined to abandon my service. Explaining Bhagavad Gita. Now, Tomara sevaya dukahaya yata seyota parama sukha seva sukha dukkha parama sampada nasaya vidya dukkha. All the distress I encounter in your service is also my greatest happiness. Both the distress and the happiness that come from engagement in your service are my greatest fortune. They both destroy the distress. They both destroy the distress of ignorance. If I'm happy in service, then I'm encouraged to do more service. And if I'm distressed in my service, then what?
I'm happy to do more service.
Huh?
Then we're happy to do more service.
Why?
Well, because it says there. My distress is your greatest happiness.
Yeah.
Devotee knows that by serving Krishna, that's his only duty or only possibility, only life. Even if there's distress in service, that's still his only duty. It's like, like a dutiful mother. She may not be happy.
That's about you. You're so tired, but it's why it's happening.
Mother may be tired, but she still wants to feed her children.
Because she was serving.
She doesn't give up the feeding of her family. It may be difficult, but she doesn't, if she's responsible mother. Now, of course, there may be those who don't care, but that's not a mother. A true mother will always do whatever she has to, regardless of her own doing. No devotee is like that, faithful devotee. There may be some difficulty in the service, but what else can he do? He's a servant of Krishna, or she. Happiness or unhappiness, no difference. Service, it means service, under any condition. That's unconditional love. The distress of ignorance. Ignorance means to think that I'm not a servant, that I have some excuse, this is very difficult. I don't believe this, that I'm a servant of Krishna anymore. I don't believe in Krishna. I'm having too many difficulties. That's not devotion. That's not devotion. One must have firm faith. So, to think there is something else other than Krishna, that is ignorance. So that has to be removed. Seva sukha dukkha nasai avidya dukkha. That both the distress and happiness that come from engagement in their service destroy the distress of ignorance. In the Bhagavad Gita 7:14, Krishna explains that only those who are unconditionally surrendered unto him are liberated from Maya. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. My alluring trimodal Maya is insurmountable. Only those who surrender unto me can transcend Maya. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, 9:240, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur comments, Yata Deka Vaishnavera Vyavahara Dukkha Nishaya Janihi Se Parananda Sukha. You should know for certain that the devotee's apparent distress is actually their ecstatic spiritual happiness. Alright, so let's do this now. Purva itihasa bhuru sakha seva sukha vayamane amita tomara tumita amara kikaja apadadane. Feeling the happiness of your service in my heart, I have completely forgotten all past history. I am yours and you are mine. What need is there for any other wealth? Purva itihasa, all past history. Itihasa in Sanskrit means history, yeah? So all past, this refers to one's behavior prior to the beginning of their life as a devotee. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, unto Leela 6.236, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forbids his followers from continuing to behave like common people after taking up the practice of devotion. Gramya katha na sunibe, gramya varta na kahibe. Do not listen to mundane talks or speak of mundane news. Moreover, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita until Leela 13.132 cites the absence of the tendency to discuss worldly subjects as a prominent attribute of a great devotee. Gramya varta na shune na kaya jivaya. Krishna katha pujadite asta praharayaya. He never listens to mundane news and never speaks about it either. He passes every day engaged in discussion, worship, and other services to Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna describes Uddhava, the transformation of a surrendering soul. Martyo yada tekta samasta karma niveditatma vichikshuto me tadamritatvam pratipadyamano mayatma bhuyaya chakalpate vaya. When a mortal being completely abandons all mundane endeavors, surrenders himself unto me, and acts according to my desires, he attains immortality and becomes fit to associate with me. So, where are we really going? Bhakati vinora anande dubhiya tomara sevaratare Sula chesta kare java ishamata akiya tomara gahare. Diving in the ecstasy of your service, Bhakti Vinod performs all his endeavors in accordance with your will, residing within your home. Gopkritve Varana, embracing the Lord's guardianship. This is the most important of all the methods of surrender. Accepting things favorable, rejecting things unfavorable, accepting the guardianship of the Lord. What are the other ones?
Surrender. This another word is surrender too. Surrender to the
Humility and something else, I don't remember now.
It's like a 6 limbs of the
Always being meek and humble, and giving honor to others. I don't remember now the 6, but anyhow. this one principle of accepting the guardianship of a Lord. It means basically accepting Guru, that I can't do it on my own, that I need some help. Anyone who is willing to help me surrender, that I want to accept. Some people, they want to know God by themselves. I don't need anyone to tell me how to know God. I can do that my way. So here is explaining that that is not the proper surrender. That is not the way to surrender to God. We need the help of Guru, of those who have become qualified in that task and that ability through their Guru, Parampara. That's the way Krishna teaches in the Bhagavad Gita. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. That is the way Krishna tells us to approach him. Through the teachings of Guru in a humble and developing humility and a serving attitude. So those who follow that process, they will get the success. It is the most difficult thing for people to accept, because everyone in this age, especially at this time, they think it is some kind of a disqualification if you take help from somebody else other than yourself. And it means some kind of weakness in you. Those who are strong, they don't need anyone's help. And that's not a very humble attitude. And Krishna doesn't accept that kind of attitude for those who want to approach it. So, Gopri-Tvevara, embracing the Lord's guardianship. I am incapable of doing it myself, O Lord. Only if by your mercy, if you can send some help to me, then I may, by your grace, I may make some progress. And in the Bible I found there's one section also, it says, not by your works, but by grace are you saved. Have you ever heard that? Not by your works, but by grace you are saved. Otherwise, it will be considered, that will be pride on your part. You will be suffering from pride. If you think that by your own works you can get to God, not by His mercy, then you'll be subjected to pride. One must understand that lest they become subjected to pride, feeling pride in themselves, that I have made my own way to God. There'll be disqualification. So, same thing is found in the Gita. Krishna explains the exact same thing as they find in the Bible. By my mercy, by me, and by my devotee, you can get some benefit, not on your own. Ki jani ki bale thomara namete, ainu sharanagata, tumi daya maya patita pavana patita taranera. I do not know by what force I have taken shelter within your abode. You are the merciful Savior of the fallen, who is ever engaged in delivering them. Kivi jani ki bali, I do not know by what force. Krishna explained to Uddhava in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:28. Yadrichaya mat kata do jata shvara natu yapuman. Na nirvino jati sakto bhakti yoga sat-cit-ananda. None who is neither excessively averse nor excessively attached to mundane existence, and who by some good fortune develops faith and narrations about me, his practice of Bhakti Yoga results in perfection. Tavadaya Pata, candidate for your mercy. And this is Sri Stotra Ratna, Sri Yamunacharya praise. Namrisha Paramartam Eva Me, Shrinu Vigyapanam Ekam Agrata, Yari Me Nad Dashishasya Tara, Dayaniyas Tava Nata Durlavaha. O Lord, please listen as I make before you this one petition which is not false, but utterly sincere. If you do not bestow your mercy upon